Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you my January wrap up. So I'm going to be sharing all of the books I read in January, how much money I spent on books in January, and for how long each day I read for. I did not start recording how long I read for each day until I think the 13th of January. But from then on, I have all the days and how long I read if I read. In January, this is how long I read for every day of the month. This is a review that I did in my reading journal, the only review I've done. Spoilers for what's coming up, but I just did a sort of mood board review page. I ended up spending $22 total on books this month, which is pretty good. I mean, that's the cost of a brand new paperback book. I mean, it's even cheaper than a brand new paperback book. All the books I got were secondhand. I did not buy any brand new. That $22 was spent across 11 books. It averages to be like $2 per book, I think. I won't go into pages read or things like that because I'll save that for my quarterly updates. We will start with the first book I read of the year, and that was Theola by Jennifer Thorne. This was a really big disappointment for me because I was quite highly anticipating it and I ended up giving it a 1 star. Theola is a horror about a family that goes to stay in a villa in Italy for their summer vacation. Our main character, Anna, is very outcasted in the family and prefers to be alone, but she agrees to go. And on the days where she just can't stand her family, she goes out and enjoys Italy. The wine tastings, the art galleries, things like that. But then strange things start to happen in this villa. Food starts rotting and going disgusting. There are men outside at night pouring salt around the house, and when the townspeople find out that this family is staying at that villa, they like cross themselves and stay away from the family. So it's a haunted house story set in the summertime in Italy, which was the perfect setup for me. It just didn't work. It was trying to be very funny and I didn't find it funny. The characters weren't taking the stuff seriously and I couldn't stand that because it is supposed to be a horror. So I want the characters to feel, you know, afraid, and they just weren't. I couldn't stand the characters. They were so unlikable. And I couldn't stand this book. I didn't like the writing, I didn't like anything. So I give it a 1 star and I would not recommend it. But if you like a book that's very much comical in its horror, that doesn't take itself seriously at all, then maybe you would like this. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want it to be like a joke. I wanted it to be scary for the characters and for me. And it just wasn't. So that is Theola, 1 star, first book of the year. Then after Theola, I decided to start A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle, the first book in the Sherlock Holmes series, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave it a 4 star. I wasn't expecting to like it that much. I thought it would be kind of boring, and I hate detective books. I hate them. So it's shocking that I gave this a 4, but Sherlock Holmes is a genius, sort of private detective. He's not really in a particular, he's kind of like a partner to the police, but not really. They like use him when they need him, but he's not like official. This is the introduction where we follow Sherlock and John Watson, his sort of partner, and how they uncover a murder that happens in the book. And we don't just get the uncovering of the murder, we get the motivation behind why the killer did what they did, and I really enjoyed that because I wasn't really expecting it. I didn't think we would get that, but we did at the end and I was very happy for that. There's not much else to say. It's very short and I enjoyed it, and it's just uncovering the murder of a person and finding out why it happened. So 4 stars. Then I had my very highly anticipated A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I was really excited for this and really wanted to love it with my whole heart. I didn't really. I gave it a 4-star, which was quite disappointing for me because I was wanting it to be a 5. 4 is still good. I still really enjoyed it. There was a lot of things in here I really liked, but I really hated Effie, the main character, and that's very unfortunate because she's the main character. But A Study in Drowning is about Effie, our main character. I've said main character too many times now, oh my god. And Preston, the love interest. The family of Effie's favourite author, who is deceased, basically puts out this competition on finding someone to redesign the estate, the family estate, and Effie puts her name down because it's her favourite author and this is like a dream come true, and she gets accepted and she goes and stays in the rotted, drowned estate. It's just water damaged everywhere, and this place where it is, like the town, is slowly being drowned again. It has been before, like 200 years prior, and the townspeople think they are going to have a second drowning. The sea is literally coming over the roads, so cars have specific times where they will and won't drive based on the sea levels and how far out the tide is coming, which was really interesting. But what Effie doesn't realize is that there is another student who is also staying at the house to write a paper on the author, and that is the love interest, Preston. She hasn't met him before, but they have a sort of rivals to lovers situation because he wants to prove that the author was a fraud and that he didn't actually write the works that made him famous. And obviously Effie is like, why would you think that? That's so random and weird. Like, why are you trying to ruin something good? And so they're rivals because they're there for different reasons, but then they have to come together to find things out. And I liked them as a pairing, aside from the fact that Effie was so mean to him. Like, she was just rude, childish, and racist. She was racist to him because they are different, like, what do you call it? They're like a different race, sort of. Not in skin colour, but it's like, I feel like it's like American and Canadian type thing. You know, they like, the places they're from are like connected, I think, but they're very different and they're at war with each other. So obviously not exactly America and Canada, but I mean that type of vibe where, yeah, they just speak a different language and stuff. But she's pretty racist towards him, close-minded, and just doesn't like him anyway because of what he's there to do. But I still liked them as a couple, I guess, and I liked Preston as a character more than Effie. He was very straightforward and not willing to just argue with her, just to argue. Like, he didn't want to be childish and play into her childish games, which I enjoyed in a character because the miscommunication and things like that is just so annoying. And I really liked the plot twist. I mean, it's not really a twist, but what we uncover, I really enjoyed that and how that was done. I thought that was really good and nice because, I don't know, it's hard to say without spoiling anything, and this is spoiler free, so. But anyway, that's my thoughts on A Study in Drowning. It was good, but not all I hoped it would be. There was a lot more wrong with it than I was hoping, but it's still a 4-star. There's some tabs, not many. Next, I read House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave it a 4-star. If we want to be really, really specific, 4.25. I just really enjoyed this. This also had the funny side. It's a horror, but it's funny, but it did it so much better than Diavola did, and also I mean, I didn't love all the jokes in this and the humor. Some of it did hit. I have these two tabs in particular that made me actually laugh. It was quite humorous, but not in the way that Diavola was. House of Hollow is actually a young adult, and it's about these three sisters who went missing as children and were gone for a month without a trace, and then they just showed up on this street again, or the street where they went missing, and they were changed. Their hair was slowly turning white, and their eyes had turned black, not the whites, just the, like, they didn't have irises anymore, like it was just all pupil, I guess, just black. And they had these little crescent moon shaped scars at the base of their throat. And they don't remember anything that happened to them in the month they were gone. And the parents just feel like they aren't their daughters anymore. They're glad they're back, but they're so changed that the parents are like, they feel guilty for being that way because they should be happy that their daughters are back, but they can't help it because they've changed so much that they just, you know, have these intrusive thoughts and everything. The three sisters, the main character is Iris. She's 17. She has her older sister Gray, who's 21, I believe, and then the middle sister, because Iris is the youngest, and then she's got her eldest sister, which is Gray, and then the middle sister is Vivi. And I think she's between 18 and 20. I didn't mind the main characters. They weren't my favorites. They were okay. And basically, they're older now, obviously. They're no longer children. They still don't remember what happened to them. But then Gray goes missing. No one can find her, and they're wondering, is it happening again? And before... Actually, I'm not going to say that because it could be a spoiler. It definitely has body horror, for sure. And the twist is really sad and creepy, and I really enjoyed it. It was really sad though, but felt worth it, finding out what happened. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed this one. I had the 5-star feeling in the very beginning, but then the writing kind of changed a bit. So this is it is a high 4, I guess. I mean 4.25 to 4.5. I did really enjoy it though, especially for a young adult, and it was creepy, and yeah. I did make a little review for it, so I guess I liked it. It did something for me. And then I reread Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I read this last year and gave it a 4.5. And I wanted to reread it to add some tabs and like annotate, but also to see if I could up it to a 5. I did end up upping it to a 5 on Goodreads, but I still kind of call it a 4.5, I guess. But Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is just about this sort of genius doctor, scientist. I don't know if he's a scientist. I don't know what he is really, but he starts to spend less time with his friends, and they wonder what's wrong, and he'll suddenly be really depressed at everything, and they don't know what's happening to him or why he's feeling that way. And they also find out that he is very protective of and friends with this really unlikable guy called Edward Hyde. And he's very disagreeable, and I just broke a nail. He's very disagreeable, he's very ugly in appearance, I guess. Every time anyone sees him, they feel like he's deformed in some type of way, like he's just not right. And they're like, why would, like, such a, you know, elegant, I guess, man be so... Okay, he literally writes a will and says, in the absence of me or like my death or whatever, I give everything to him. And they're like, why is he like this? Why, like, this is a bad person, why would he? There's about 50 dogs down my road, so I still really enjoyed this, and it is very highly rated for me, especially for being so tiny. It definitely does fit a lot in there. Just at the very end, the very last chapter is kind of info dumpy, but I guess, I mean, he kind of had to do that because it's so short. I'm gonna put my nail back on and then tell you about the last book that I read. That should be good. The last book I read in January, sorry, but I haven't actually finished this yet. But look how close I am. I'm that close to the end, and it is the second to last day of January, because there's 31 days in January, right? And today's the 30th. I'm planning on finishing it today, but I would finish it tomorrow at the very latest, so I am still including this in my January wrap-up, because I'm finishing it in January. I have about 100 pages left, and this is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I finally picked up Little Women and I'm loving it. It is very cute and sweet. I must say I enjoyed volume 1 more than volume 2 for reasons. Also, something depressing has happened. Not fully, but a chapter that I read, Beth's Secret. It was sad. Volume 1 was a lot stronger for me and I was enjoying that a lot more than volume 2. But I'll just have to see how I feel by the end. I think I'm still going to be giving this a 5-star because it is really nice. And I enjoy reading, especially about Jo and about Laurie as well. I'm not a fan of Meg and I'm not the biggest fan of Amy. Beth is okay. Like, I mean, I like Beth. She's more boring. But I like Jo and I like Laurie and I like them together, but I have been annotating a bit, not too much. I'm going to be finishing this. We know what Little Women is about. It's the story about these 4 sisters. It starts out with them in the Civil War. Pretty sure it's the Civil War. Their father is fighting in it. It's just about their hardships. I thought my nail came off again. It's just about their hardships, enduring hardships and enjoying adventures in Civil War New England. It's just the ups and downs of their lives, each individual sister, their goals and loves and things like that. Got a lot of life lessons in. This colour here is for life lessons and there's a decent amount tabbed for that. But yeah, that is the last book that I read in January. So I have shared everything that I can think of that I want to share for the month of January. I've told you how much I spent, what I read, how long I read each day. So yeah, I even showed you a spread in my journal, or a page in my journal. Wait, no, it was a spread. It was a spread. So that is it for this video for my January wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what books you read, or if you've read any of these and share any opinions with me or have opposite opinions to me. I'd be interested to find out. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!